Welcome, acolytes. Today, again, a nice short one. Well, a nice short one. I mean, I'm reacting to one of the creators that actually, well, quite frankly, deserves way more subscribers and views than she actually got. Because she does a very entertaining, she is entertaining and does the entire thing that she does actually quite good with, informed herself with everything that she actually does. She's not stupid or something like that. This is just really, really good recherchieren in Germany, just in German if you want to know what that means. And it's just really outstanding. It's nice to see that a creator like this can really grow. Particularly, like, in my opinion, she's already pretty big with how much is it? 78,000 subs. And the videos were 4K by now, but it's a relatively new video, so the new thing will come. It will come, but right now it is what it is. But let's see what Capcom explodes for Violent Keymaster via over political behavior, blah, blah, blah. Vara Dark, the Titan Media. So yeah, I'm gonna look it up and just see what she has to say about it, because for the life of me, looking up that Capcom does something like this, well, would never ever even come to my mind that they, of all people, the Japanese would do some shit like this. America, Germany, expected at this point. The Japanese though, that's something new. So let's see.
Over the past few years, we have seen so many actors and voice actors and creatives be cancelled simply for having their own opinions on the world, and Ken Master's voice actor Reuben Langdon, of course, just a few years ago was completely cancelled, taken off of several projects, even though he was an iconic actor in this role, but he now is saying that he was actually recast over politics and the infamous Newsweek hit piece. I have a few things to show off, but
that's always a bad thing to happen just because of some bullcrap that over Twitter uses, basically. This is something I don't understand. How the F? Why do people actually get so freaking fired up because of Twitter? Why? I mean, I understand it to a certain point that you actually have to look at your freaking thing. Like, you want to look good in the eyes of your customers. Or customers, in my case, viewers. I mean, the people I actually want to do this content for, of course, for me and for them. Like, you know, it's a mix. But getting rid of it, I mean, if I see someone that actually does a, let's just say, useless comment, not necessarily a negative or something that criticizes me, because I actually quite like those if it has a point, or at least a discussion, but just most of those comments are just pure hate from people that just want to look good, in my opinion. And there is nothing else behind it, no substance, for the most part. Of course, there are always things that you say, yeah. Sometimes even a blind chicken finds something to eat. But, well, I mean, I don't know. Don't overdo it. Maybe just don't overdo it.
before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or via YouTube memberships. Now, of course, this situation has been slowly but surely evolving over the past few years. This article from Niche Gamer does recap it pretty well. It's been some time since we learned longtime Ken Masters voice actor Reuben Langdon was recast. At the time, neither Capcom nor Langdon commented on the decision until now. I remember when this happened, of course, there were many people who were extremely upset, who were threatening, of course, to boycott upcoming games, and it was just a sad situation overall because we didn't know the exact details, but we did all have a rough idea simply because of politics. Whenever you are an individual who works for a larger company, if you have your own opinions that do not go with and mesh with exactly what the company wants you to say or the stances they want their actors to take, unfortunately, you get fired, and that is exactly what happened here.
And yes, in the context of her, because I of course understand if you, let's just say like CP, like certain people that start with a V in their name, if you do things like that, I understand if the freaking company wants to get rid of you. That's fine, in my opinion. Because if you're a monster, you're a monster, and I don't care if you lose your job in that freaking case. In that specific case. And I mean, if you find out that someone's an actual freaking deviant, yes, that's fine. But if they just don't agree on your politics, like, come on. What's the weak sauce there? This is just, in my eyes, pure weakness, character weakness. But yeah.
Here. To recap, 3 years ago, articles from Newsweek and other commentary on his personal beliefs were taken completely out of context, which he has now confirmed led to him being dropped as the voice of Ken Masters. Of course, we're talking about something that happened years ago, but his beliefs were taken completely out of context. He previously appeared on a podcast with YouTubers, and they discussed a number of hot issues, including Me Too, Black Lives Matter, and allegations towards, of course, Vic Mignogna, but Langdon was later asked for an
Embassy to support the channel, pay donation, this and this. No, she didn't. Sadly. Okay.
Interview by Newsweek to clarify his statements, to which he agreed, but when he said he couldn't comment on the Vic situation, an article later came out that lambasted Langdon as a right-wing extremist, so they invited him on for a, follow-up interview for a previous article that he did, and they took not only that previous article they did with him, completely took it out of context, and because he would not comment on a situation that at the time was a pretty, intense one, many people were talking about it, they decided to write a hit piece on him. And if you don't know, Reuben Langdon is very well known in the industry and also to Capcom fans. I mean, he was the voice of Ken Masters from all of his iterations from Street Fighter 4 in 2008 all the way up to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But this Newsweek article came out and was basically taking things I had said in the interview out of context or with no context and just saying Reuben said this and that about Black Lives Matter and hashtag Me Too, and that I'm a right-wing extremist, that I'm a UFO alien believer, a crazy nutcase. But then he noted that only a few months earlier, Newsweek actually did a very positive article and interview with him about his, opinions on the possibility of extraterrestrial life, which is confusing when compared to their other posts taking those comments out of context. So literally, they did an interview with him inviting him to talk about topics like extraterrestrial life, and then only months later completely used that against him and called him a crazy conspiracy.
That's, by the way, normal. The media, or maybe it depends a bit on the news outlet you're gonna get yourself into. Nah, I would say most of them. They don't want your good side. They want the shocking drama side of your failure. If you're a normal human being and just talk with them like a normal effing human being and you're not in the zeitgeist right now, they don't give a fuck. If they wanna misrepresent you, they're gonna misrepresent you. And that's why I personally, if I get ever the chance of actually going to a somewhat comparable thing like that the news wants to see me, I'm gonna say no. I'm really gonna say no. Except they write down a contract that even a single lie or just detrimental, not detrimental, if they in any kind just spin out the wheel in any freaking negative way that is untrue about me, that I can sue them for a lot of money, then I'm gonna say yes, but only then. And the thing is, Nobody will freaking sign that. Why? Because I know they wanna spin a nice little effed up story about, probably with a high probability, let's say it like this, with high probability, just about anything, just to drama up and get viewers from, well, the internet.
Conspiracy theorist, even though they asked him to talk about that in the first place. That is the most disingenuous bullshit I have ever heard. Continuing on though, after this, people went on to contact Capcom regarding the negative and out of context reporting that was done, which allegedly prompted the developer to recast Ken Masters. So of course, no matter how many people actually wrote to Capcom, they didn't care. It says some people wrote Capcom particularly,
And they, by the way, never want. Like, if it's not in their initial really best interest, where they think that most people think that way, they won't care. They won't care about a person that actually writes down, wants to protect someone. Because most people, and this is a fault of good people just doing nothing. If you're a good person, sometimes, and I'm gonna be harsh, you just have to execute the bad person. Excommunicate them. Get rid of them. Just so they don't poison the well. Now it's harsh, I know. But the world sadly is harsh. And if you don't protect yourself or your family, nobody actually will. So you're on your own. So the best method of actually protecting the ones you love and yourself is basically being harsh sometimes. And depending on the person you're being harsh, or what the thing is you're being harsh about, just doing the appropriate things to actually do the thing, reacting appropriately, that's the word I was looking for. Sorry about that. Because of course, if somebody steals a lollipop, they don't deserve 10 years of prison, in my opinion. But if you murder someone, well, 10 years prison isn't enough, I am sorry. You destroyed the life of someone else. No, you ended the life of someone else. And that's just not nice. And the thing is, a few years in prison, in my opinion, just doesn't work. People just aren't scared about it. It is what it is. But of course, I am the guy that actually thinks that the death sentence is a good idea if you just went out and made it 100% sure, yeah, this is the guy, he actually 100% did it, and just end it. Just don't even risk it that a second freaking person just gets annihilated or ended his life just because of a crook. That's not worth it, in my opinion.
Particularly the producer Ono-san, he said he saw it and I guess he lost his shit. He didn't understand the nuances and didn't bother to reach out to me to ask what's going on. He got super scared and actually called. I remember this very clearly because this was a few days before E3 started. My partner called me and goes, "Reuben, what the F did you do?" And I'm like, "What do you mean I didn't do anything? You don't realize how much damage you've done. You just lost us the Street Fighter gig because of that Newsweek article the company Just Cause Productions that I was no longer a part of actually lost a multi-million-dollar gig, which is insane." So he was not even working with Just Cause Productions, but they still end up getting let go. And not only that, again, Reuben ended up not being able to voice Ken Masters again. That is just insane to me. Despite the decision to recast him and drop their mocap company already being made, Langdon and others reportedly tried to arrange a meeting with Ono-san to clarify and hopefully remedy the situation. And he says, "I tried..."
And by the way, because I tried to think about it, it's the thing that disturbs me about it is not that they didn't work with him. He has the name, everybody, or most people know, that he actually works with them, and if you do something bad that also reflects on the company and all the other people. I mean, shit, if somebody I know just killed someone, even if I didn't work with him at the same time, or yeah, I'm gonna disavow the person. But in this case, the guy is innocent, so yeah.
To get a meeting so I could sit down and explain everything that happened, that this was all taken out of context, and that this was not the case. It was a hit piece from the Newsweek guy, but he wouldn't have it. He wouldn't even take the meeting. It was crazy, which definitely is not a good look, at least to me, and I'm sure a lot of you. If somebody is getting canceled and ultimately is going to be let go from a project, you at least deserve a sit-down conversation. They at least deserve a sit-down conversation, because I completely understand that, you know, sometimes, yes, things online are taken out of context and look completely insane, but when you have someone like Reuben Langdon, who you have worked with for so many years at that point, they deserve to be able to tell you their side of the story. Unfortunately, we've heard so many cases on social media over the years, like with Gina Carano, for instance. She was let go from Disney and, of course, her PR firm, but she didn't, you know, get a private message or a private email. She literally found out because of the smear campaign they had already started on social media. People are human beings, okay? They deserve to at least get some kind of face-to-face explanation, but instead, that is not what happened here. And it also says that he went on to confirm that despite being recast, he's still playing Dante in Capcom's other hit franchise, Devil May Cry, which I guess is some sort of saving grace. I'm very happy to hear that, because of course he does play a fantastic Dante. So many people are happy to hear this, but we don't really know, unfortunately, how long that is going to last. They've canceled him once. It wouldn't surprise me if they canceled him again, especially with him coming out now and actually talking about this. I bet there's going to be so much more backlash and so much more heat on him again. A few months after that, the Devil May Cry director called me up and said, hey, can you come back to Japan and do a mocap? We're going to do a special edition of Devil May Cry. So when I went back and I asked him and my partner too, what's the deal? How come you guys didn't flip out over the Newsweek article? And they were like, yeah, we looked into it and it's fine. So the Devil May Cry team looked into it and saw what a bunch of bullshit it was, including Itsuno-san. They did the research and totally validated that I didn't say anything to offend anybody, or I wasn't whatsoever what Newsweek tried to make me out as. And this is why companies cannot just blindly react to social media outrage and social media drama. They actually need to research situations. They actually need to look into them. And unfortunately, that is not.
And by the way, it's not just companies. It's also people all around. And if you're listening, okay, just don't flip out to every freaking news, Twitter block or something like that. Be calm, think about it. Is it even worth your time? And then just leave it or take it. I don't know, it depends on the situation. Or just if somebody slanders you or something like that, just take the appropriate approach, not total destruction, you know. But it also depends on the freaking situation. Of course, there are some situations where you should react, where you should do something, but some situations just, a lot of situations just aren't that, just aren't worth the time most of the time.
Not what Capcom did initially. It doesn't sound like there are any plans to bring him back, and it doesn't sound like, you know, he's really wanting to go back at this point, since he is, again, still working on Devil May Cry. It's not like his career is over. Far from it. He's still got several things that he is working on, but it's just so pathetic to see a company the size of Capcom not actually reach out. But ultimately, it also doesn't particularly sound like they even really care, because Capcom is a company that's heavily invested in the ESG score, and they do want to, you know, try to be a newer, modern company. They definitely, over the past few years, have made some extremely questionable decisions and also statements. It's just so sad to see such a big company like Capcom end up, you know, firing actors and recasting actors over things like their personal beliefs, opinions, their personal politics, instead of just accepting everybody is going to be different, everybody's going to have their own opinions. That's not what's here, not what happened. It will be interesting to see if Reuben Langdon, of course, comes out and says anything else, since he is receiving a ton of positive feedback and a ton of support on social media right now because of his recent statements. Of course, only time will tell, but for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support.
Nice video again. Really like her. But this is a great good night.